In this video, we are going to talk about Toncoin, some of its recent price action, some of the important support and resistance areas, and where we can expect the price of Ton to go in the coming days and weeks. So we will start by looking at the weekly chart, and what we can see here is that since late 2024, Ton has basically only been dumping with no sign of recovery whatsoever. Ton went from about $8 all the way down to $1.6 at the moment. We have gotten a slight recovery in the last couple of weeks following the recovery by Bitcoin, but this is still pretty insignificant looking at the weekly chart, and it doesn't really change anything in terms of price structure. Something very interesting about the structure of Ton is that differently to most other altcoins, Ton actually created its all-time high back in the mini alt season of 2024 and not back in 2021. Most altcoins that have existed back in 2021 got their all-time high back then and never recovered back up to those levels. But with Ton, it's a different story. The high back in 2021 was at about $5, just crossing $5, and then obviously it really died down in the bear market of 2022. And then back in 2024, when we had the mini alt season, Ton got a very significant rally from about $2 to about $8, getting a 4x in just a couple of months. So this is a very impressive rally, getting all-time highs, despite that period not being a full-on alt season and a euphoria in the entire crypto market, like what we've seen back in 2021. But again, since then, Ton dumped a lot, even lower than where we were before this rally in 2024. So let's now look at what the next support areas for Ton can be. If we draw this trend line from the previous lows, as you can see, in the last month or so, we have very clearly broken down below this trend line. It was looking like we are trying to hold it back in October and November, but in the last 2 weeks, we have very clearly broken down below it. This, in my opinion, was the last most important support area for Ton, and the fact that we have lost it is really not good. The next support area for us to look at would be this low from back in August 2023, but this support area is not nearly as strong as the trend line was. The support area would be at about $1.2, and it is really the only important support area that I can see right here. We have only really hit this area twice, once here very significantly in July of 2023, and another time that wasn't quite as significant of a low. We've only been there for a couple of weeks back then, but we've also been there back in September of 2022. So this support area is still pretty strong, but it's certainly not as strong as the trend line was. I think that for the most part, Toncoin is very dependent on Bitcoin and what Bitcoin does. I think that most likely, unless we see Bitcoin starting to really rally a lot and approaching new all-time highs, Ton will likely continue dumping or at least just underperforming Bitcoin. If we do see Bitcoin continuing to rally to over 100k, but ending up creating a macro lower high, and we don't really see an alt season and a period of euphoria in the market. If Bitcoin just creates a lower high and we go into a bear market, then Ton will likely just continue dumping a lot further. I think that Ton will likely continue performing pretty poorly, at least for the next couple of months. And for Ton to actually start doing well and outperforming the larger coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum mainly, we would have to see Bitcoin approaching new all-time highs, as well as Ethereum, followed by the rest of the crypto market, and we would need to see a period of euphoria and at least a mini alt season, something similar to what we've seen back in 2024. And only then we might see Ton actually doing very well. But honestly, the price structure for Ton is really not looking good in my opinion, with it dumping so much in the last year or so, and us losing this very crucial support area that is this trend line that has held basically since Ton has launched. This trend line held from all the way back in 2021, and us losing it is a really concerning sign. I think that at least until we reclaim that and get above $2.2, Ton will continue looking really bad in terms of price structure in my opinion. So yeah guys, I don't really like what I'm seeing in terms of the price action by Ton. Of course, with it being a pretty small market cap and incredibly volatile coin, I could be making another update about Ton in just a few days or in just a couple of weeks, and the entire picture could be entirely different. But at the moment, with the information that I have right now, with what I'm seeing on the chart right now, I really don't like what I'm seeing, and I would personally avoid Ton. I would also generally avoid being heavy into altcoins, at least for the next few weeks, but especially with Ton, I don't really see a reason to get into it. Of course, this is not financial advice whatsoever, it's just what I personally think. So that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it and you want more updates about Ton as well as other altcoins, make sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.